Millionaire Brexit backer had undisclosed meetings with Russia before vote. Millionaire Brexit campaigner Arron Banks had a series of undisclosed meetings with Russian embassy officials, it has been reported. The Leave.EU founder, who helped bankroll Nigel Farage's campaign, was introduced to the ambassador Alexander Yakovenko by a suspected Russian intelligence officer, according to the Sunday Times. The paper said it had seen emails by Mr. Banks and Leave.EU communications chief Andy Wigmore showing they had repeated contacts with Russian officials to discuss matters of mutual interest throughout the EU referendum campaign. The reports are likely to raise fresh questions about whether the Kremlin sought to influence the outcome of the 2016 vote. Asked about the report at the G7 summit in Quebec, Theresa May said, "I am sure that if there are any allegations that need investigation, the proper authorities will do that." Mr. Banks, who last week announced he was pulling out of the Commons inquiry into fake news, accusing the MPs of a witch hunt, said he would now be giving evidence to the Digital, Culture, Media and Sport Committee as planned on Tuesday. According to the Sunday Times, the emails showed Mr. Banks met Mr. Yakovenko on 3 occasions, having previously only acknowledged one encounter in 2015, and made a visit to Moscow in February 2016 in the midst of the referendum campaign. They also held discussions about a business deal involving 6 Russian gold mines. The paper said that he and Mr. Wigmore had lunch with the ambassador in November 2016, just 3 days after they and Nigel Farage had met Donald Trump in New York following his victory in the U.S. presidential election. They were said to have been introduced to Mr. Yakovenko by Alexander Yakovenko, one of 23 suspected Russian intelligence officers subsequently ejected from the UK after the poisoning of Sergei and Yulia Skripal in Salisbury. The ambassador was said to have proposed a business deal that would have involved them in the consolidation into one company of 6 Russian gold mines. The emails were passed to the Sunday Times by journalist Isabel Oakeshott, Banks's ghostwriter on the bad boys of Brexit, who is now writing a book with the Tory peer Lord Ashcroft on Russia's use of hybrid warfare to influence British politics. The paper said she came forward after she said her email accounts were hacked. Writing in the paper, Ms. Oakeshott said, Banks and Wigmore were shamelessly used by the Russians. Perhaps, the Englishman did not mind. Banks and Wigmore genuinely sympathized, and continue to sympathize, with some of Putin's political views. Mr. Banks dismissed the claims, telling the paper, "I had 2 boozy lunches with the Russian ambassador and another cup of tea with him. Bite me. It's a convenient political witch hunt, both over Brexit and Trump." He told the paper that nothing had come of their discussions over the gold mine deal. "We didn't profit from any business deals because I never pursued anything," he said. Mr. Banks, whose wife is Russian, acknowledged that he had made a family trip to Moscow in February 2016, but said no meetings were had with anyone. Tommy Robinson protesters and naked bike riders accidentally merge and its glorious British Army tried to recruit stressed teens on GCSE results day with Facebook adverts. Tommy Robinson supporters hurl missiles at police as far-right rally turns violent. He told the paper he had also disclosed details of his contacts with the Russians to U.S. officials. He said, "We actually saw the suits from the American embassy who introduced us to the State Department to explain what had happened, and then we briefed the Americans on our meetings with the Russians." Mr. Wigmore told the paper, "We never offered any information to him, Mr. Yakovenko, or any Russian any details of our Brexit campaign." Woman filmed having sex on gravestone was cheating on father of her baby. Actress from show Next Door steps in at last minute to save Mamma Mia. Musical driver arrested after freight train smashes car with a baby still inside.